January 2015, I had surgery on my nose to fix my deviated septum and a fracture on one side of my nose. And in this week's video, I'm going to be talking about my experience with the surgery, the healing process, and what it's like now 2 years after the surgery. My septum was broken and it was pushed against the right side of my nose, and I was having a lot of breathing problems through my nose. And also wearing my glasses and having the fracture on my nose made it quite uncomfortable and pretty painful to wear glasses. So I bit the bullet and I got the surgery done. The surgery was originally scheduled for December 2014, but was postponed to January to avoid having to get two separate procedures done. The preparation before the surgery required me to take out my piercings, and at this point I had about 47 piercings, and I had to take all of those out and replace them with plastic jewelry. And yes, that was no easy task. On the day of the procedure, I went to the pre-admission clinic, I filled out paperwork, and then I got undressed and got robed, and they put me onto a bed and I just waited for them to come and get me. So they took me into the pre-op room where they attached a drip into my arm, put a mask thing over my hair, and just waited. And a few minutes later, they took me into the operation room and they transferred me from the bed to the operation table, and then I woke up a couple of hours later after they had done the surgery. And the first thing that I felt was my nose was itchy as anything. It felt horribly swollen and really blocked, and that was because they had those gauze pad things up my nose. It went like that far down the back of my nose. I wasn't in pain when I first woke up, and I was a little bit out of it for about half an hour or so, and then when I woke up and I was a little bit more aware, they took me into the ward where I was there overnight, which was not the best night of my life. Because my nose was completely blocked, I couldn't breathe through it, and I could only breathe through my mouth, which just made my mouth exceptionally dry. So the nurse kept bringing in ice, so I would suck on the ice and that would help get a little bit more liquid in my mouth. And the next day, the doctor came in to take out the things in my nose, and that felt so weird. It was the weirdest feeling to have it getting pulled out. Like, it felt good. It felt good to get it out, but it was sort of like pulling out a massive, massive booger from your nose. It was not the most pleasant feeling, but much better than having my nose completely packed with this stuff. It took about 2 weeks after the surgery for the swelling to go down and for it not to hurt. And it took a few months for me to be able to touch the tip of my nose without it hurting. And even now, 2 years later, it is still slightly sensitive if I touch right at the tip. And now, 2 years later, I feel fantastic. I can breathe through both nostrils. It's so much better. And if I had to go back and get the surgery done again, knowing just how painful it was going to be afterwards, I definitely still would get it done. It has made a lot of difference. I still get a little bit sensitive where they chiseled my nose to fix the fracture in my nose, but that is manageable. It's not as bad as it was before the surgery. If you are considering getting this surgery done, if you have a deviated septum, I strongly suggest that you get this done. And yes, it hurts afterwards. It absolutely sucks afterwards. But for the long term, it is definitely worth getting this surgery done. For me anyway, it was probably the best decision I've made. If you like this video, please be sure to give it a big thumbs up, and please subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching. I love you all, and I'll see you next week. Bye.